All right, guys, let's take a look at question number 3. So we got this wonderful looking chart graph here, and it says in the xy plane above, point C has coordinates 6, 9. Which of the following is an equation of the line that contains points points O and C? All right, so how are we going to approach this? All right, so we have this picture here, and in this picture, we have a line that shoots out. We have a point here at 6, 9. Okay. All right, so we got 6, 9. So there's a couple things you have to know, all right? You should know this. You should know y equals mx plus b, okay? In this equation, this is the slope, and this is the y-intercept, okay? Can you guess what this equation is called? Yep, it's called slope-intercept form. Because you have what? You have the slope and the y-intercept. Woohoo! Makes perfect sense. All right, so how do we go about doing this? Well, the math way of doing this is you just have to figure out what the slope is. Well, what is slope? Slope is rise over run. If you have issues remembering this, just think to yourself, in the morning, do you get up first and then go to school? Or do you run to school and then get up? Clearly you rise first and then you run. Okay, so rise over run. All right, so what is, if I'm starting here, and by the way, if I'm starting here, this point is 0, 0, though not written, it is implied that it's 0, 0. The rise over the run is what? Well, I'm rising how much? I'm rising 9, and I'm running 6. So the slope is 9 over 6, which reduces to 3 over 2. Okay? Now, one other comment here, just to make sure this is 100% clear. When I say 9 over 6 reduces to 3 over 2, what I'm saying is that 9 is 3 times 3, and 6 is 3 times 2. So the 3's that match up, they get canceled out or they divide out, and it becomes 3 over 2. Okay? So when I mention reduce, that's kind of what I'm doing there. All right. So we got the slope to be 3 over 2. So if the slope is 3 over 2, then this m value is going to be 3 over 2x. And then it says plus b. Well, what's b? B is the y-intercept. What does that mean? Well, the y-intercept means where does this is x and this is y. The y-intercept means where does this cross the y-axis? Where does this line cross the y-axis? Well, it crosses clearly at 0. Okay, if it was up here, let's say this is 2, it would cross at 2. If it was down here at -3, it would cross at -3. Okay, in this case it's 0, so we say plus 0. And so I get y equals 3 over 2x. Boom! There's your answer. Okay, so the answer here is going to be D. All right, now, as I've mentioned before, this is the math way. All right, now let's take an alternative approach to this. Okay, so I think this is the ideal way to do this, and hopefully, if these steps sound familiar, this is the way I would recommend you doing this. But let's say you are not you do not know how to do it this way, or let's say maybe you just like to do problems multiple ways just to make sure that you get the correct answer. Or let's just say you're just curious what's going to come out of my mouth next. Well, another approach to this problem is these x and y points represent, or I should say these x and y values represent points on the line. So this point here is x, y, and this point here is x, y. We always write x first, then y, right? We go 6 and then 9. Okay? All right. So what I can do is I can plug these points in. Now take note of something here. Okay? I'm going to use 0, 0. I have 2 points here, right? I have 0, 0, and 6, 9. All right? I'm going to use 0, 0 first. Even though they give me 6, 9, and 0, 0 is implied, I'm going to use 0, 0. Okay, so the first question that should pop in your mind is, well, why is this guy using 0, 0? Okay, why not use 6 and 9, right? Well, 0, 0 is going to be used because it's easy to work with, right? So note that if I put 0 here and 0 here, I'm going to get 0 equals 0 minus 3 and 0 equals negative 3, right? Is this statement true? Does 0 equal negative 3? Well, I don't think so. So this is going to show us that A is incorrect, right? And we're going to work through each of these to figure out which one works. So you go here and you plug in 0, 0, and I'm going to get 0 equals 0 plus 3, and so 0 equals 3. Well, is that true? Of course not, right? So then B is incorrect, right? And then we go to C, and I'm going to plug it in, and I'm going to go 0 equals 2 over 3 times 0, and this is going to give me 0 equals 0. This one actually, whereas this one is false and this one is false, this is actually true. So does that mean that I circle this? No. If you're going to use this method, this is the big part, just because you get one to work doesn't mean, whoop-de-doo, I got the correct answer. No, it does not. You have to check all of them. So note if I go here and I plug in 0 here and 0 here, it's basically just the reciprocal of this. So it's going to become 0 equals 3 over 2 times 0. And this is going to give me 0 equals 0. Ran out of space there, sorry about that. 0 equals 0, and that is also true. So that means that C and D are both possibilities still, okay? Does that mean that I crawl in the corner and cry in the fetal position? Absolutely not. I have another point. So I'm going to plug in this other point and see what happens, all right? Notice, too, though, that I'm not going to plug it in for everything. I'm just going to plug it in for the two that I'm worried about. So plugging in for C, 9 is Y, and X is 6, so times 6. And if I do this, again, note, 3 goes into 6 2 times, so this is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Does 9 equal 4? Sometimes when you write it, sometimes it looks like 9 equals 4, but it's not true. Right? So C is false as well. So if I'm doing this right, moment of truth, D should work. So Y equals 3 over 2x, again here y is 9, x is, what did I say x is 6. And if I solve this, 2 goes into 6, 3 times 3, yes, it does work. 3 times 3 is 9, that is correct, hence this is the correct answer, okay? So really great strategy on the TSI. If you struggle with math, a really nice strategy, this is huge, is if you can find points on a graph, plug those points in and see which equation works. You have to try everything, okay? That's the one caveat here. That's the one stipulation. That's the one big key point. If we had stopped with C, we would have missed this question when we plugged in 0, okay? You have to work through everything and make sure that it works. The nice thing is you can generally find points pretty easily on a graph, okay? By the way, this also doesn't just apply to graphs, but just in general, okay? What an equation actually says, when I say that the equation of the line is y equals 3 over 2x, what that means is the collection of all the points along the graph, when I plug in x, I get this y value. The collection of all those points, whether I talk about 0, 0, 6, 9, maybe another point here would be 2, 3. The collection of all the values that satisfy this, all the x's, when I plug in x, all the y values, if I listed all those possibilities, would be this line here. And that's what an equation is. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense and you feel a little bit better about this and you went through and you saw how this works. This is a huge strategy, guys. Use it. Use it.